Okay, with that, I would now like to introduce Jimmy McNamara from Fidelity Investments. Hello, Jimmy. How are you doing
Hey,
today?
hi, Brian. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. So I am excited about the opportunity to talk with you about the realities, difficulties, challenges, and potential gains of delivering software in the modern enterprise. Before we do, though, can you share a bit with our audience about your role at Fidelity Investments?
Yeah. I can go just talk a bit about my background as well. Like I feel like I've been around this area and this domain a long time. I'm working for 23 years
Wow.
in the industry, and a lot of it has been around, either being the software developer or being the product manager that's supporting the developer's experience, and also throwing a bit of data work as well. So it's kind of it's exciting to be part of this talk, and it's exciting to be kind of continually to look to see what we can do to give our developers better capabilities to produce great software.
It's exciting to have you. Exciting to have you. So, can you tell us a bit about what Fidelity Investments does and the scale of the teams and apps that you support?
Yeah, so I think Fidelity is a huge believer in IT. It's really from the top down, and it backs it up with its level of investment in IT. As an organization, it's a financial services organization, but it really it has many lines of businesses. So it's big, right? So we've got 10,000 plus developers. We've about 12 million artifacts under management in our artifact management system. But the thing that's unique, I suppose, is the scale plus also its diversity. It supports businesses across many lines, both businesses that require fast-paced reaction, very kind of customer-focused, and other ones that are more focused on ensuring that everything goes well, more institutional focus. So it's it's a huge believer in IT. It's part of the philosophy and key to the strategy of the company. But it also supports many ranges of business that needs to run IT in the way that best suits those.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Moving forward, what I'd also like to understand is, and you touched upon it a bit, but if you could drill in, how critical is software to driving Fidelity's business into the future, and how are you improving and modernizing to support that vision?
Yeah, so it is absolutely key. It's part of the strategy at a leadership level in the company from the very top. Cloud for us is absolutely critical. We see the ability to be able to react quickly with new features through software delivery as critical. It's a game changer in terms of the ability to grow the business. It's it is key. It's fundamental. When you walk into the company, it's just something that is very obvious. It's something that's discussed at the highest level in the company constantly. And again, cloud is key. And really for my role, what's key is how do I ensure that developers have the best in class capabilities available to them so that they can produce software as quickly as possible. You're enabling, and it's all about enabling. It's all about creating a frictionless environment so that folks
Right.
can get in there on day one and they're set up straight away, and so that we hire great people, so we want them to unleash their capabilities on the company as soon as possible, and it's all about ensuring that they have what's the best available to them to do that.
So, in empowering developers, ensuring that they have what they need, as we talked about, an embrace, not replace, how do you do that while still balancing and supporting governance and security?
Yeah, so I think with that, it depends on the capabilities, and again, so that, depending on what kind of life cycle or part of the life cycle you're in, there's models where you give the capabilities to the developers, but then if you're a shared service organization, you retain control. There's must-dos in terms of what needs to happen when you're developing software. But then it's about giving the developers the flexibility so that beyond the must-dos, they need to have the best features and capabilities available. And then it's just that balance, and depends on where you are in the life cycle. There's certain parts where you can give where it's a federated administration where there's lots of control and lots of capabilities, but then there's lots of responsibilities. But then it's just ensuring that we provide APIs so that governance and security is a must-do for us. It's our mission is to enable developers to produce great software at speed in a safe and secure manner, right? Safe and secure is really, really important to us, and it's just that balance about managing a central platform, but then not getting in the way of folks as they want to leverage and use new features, but also making sure that there is stuff that needs to happen because we need to be safe and secure.
Right. And so being safe and secure, managing risk is non-negotiable in the field that you're in, right?
Absolutely is key. It keeps many people up late at night, to make sure that we are always safe and secure. Our reputation is our business, right? So that's key for us. So that is non-negotiable. But then it's obviously a constant watch, making sure a push to make new features and capabilities available, but then ensuring that same tension in terms of scale, security and governance is still there as well, right? So that we don't lose any of that, but we're also challenging ourselves to understand how can we make these great new features available. I mean, the cloud is a great example. We're leveraging that heavily. It's key to the organizational strategy. And how are we enabling new features from the cloud vendors? There's a huge amount of new feature releases there, and that's what we want. That's critical to the business, right? To tap into those and to leverage those to to realize market opportunities.
Well, great. So you've focused a lot on cloud first and cloud native, and we talked about an application landscape that had mission critical revenue generating applications, such as oftentimes your traditional mainframe, your Java monolith, those old tried and true steady systems that keep humming along, and then really modernization targets or emerging tech that tend to align more with that cloud first or cloud native. I assume that you guys have at least one of everything, 10 of most.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, can you speak to the challenge of managing such a hybrid portfolio, addressing cloud native and mainframe, ensuring security and governance with speed across that mixed landscape? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge because there's two ways of looking at that, right? So we do support applications that build on top of our platforms, and those applications are varied, right? So they are cloud native, new modern stuff, and then there's the older stuff. But we're also supporting platforms ourselves that are like that. So we have older platforms, and then we're also constantly trying to bring forward newer. So it's a constant balance. It's business continuity is key as part of what we do. So we must always support the business. And the way we look at this is that it's all about the service you provide, right? So we do understand that it's about driving cloud native. Our strategy is cloud native first, right? And then it kind of goes back down the stack. But it's what we do is, as we establish new capabilities, it's about making sure those capabilities are better than before, right? So it's actually a question of creating platforms and new capabilities that are attractive to our developers to move towards, so that we're draining off the old onto the new, and it's not a push. People want it based on what's provided, and that comes with significant investment. It comes with making sure that what you put out there works and it's not only works, but also adds value. So
Right.
as folks go to the new, they're actually getting stuff that is new and better than before, so that they're having to focus. They can then just focus on building software, right? They don't need to worry about setup and things like that. It's there, it's available, and they can just focus on what they need to do, and it's better than before.
So in terms of, so I'd like to talk about KPIs, and first I'd like to kind of talk about technical KPIs, and then we'll move to, organizational or business KPIs. Um, are there, key progress or performance indicators that you track to help encourage teams to move to these better, more modern solutions in a pool manner?
Yeah, so we're very focused on data, right? So there's a lot of our focus with the operational KPIs from a kind of central platform team, and then the business was focused on their own KPIs, which is how fast are they getting their features through. It's very simple. If you follow the data, you get to where you need to get to, right? And that means that I baseline our platforms and I focus on things like MTTR and our ability to kind of understand issues on the platform and fix them. And we baseline that data, and then we review those across all our platforms. And then that then drives the backlog of how we work on our platforms. And it's that to kind of resolve issues. But then, as you kind of go forward, it's more about, well, how can we be better in terms of predicting things, right? So as and that's kind of a key focus for us, spot trends early so that we can actually create automation or build into automation into things that we deliver, so that we understand when the signs of an issue that will occur in the future, so that you can actually intervene before there's any business impact. So again, it's about being very, very data focused, using that data to drive improvements in the platform and also predict issues when they occur. And the other thing you do use data for is having it to discuss, how the businesses you interact consume your platform. So that if you have a discussion around data and talk to folks that use your partners within the organization that use your services, it becomes very much a very accurate discussion. It's not it's not based on someone's opinion. It's based on fact, right? And having data to drive your backlog for better operational outcomes, and having data to drive discussion with your partners to understand they understand the operational outcomes, and it's based on the discussion around data and not on someone's opinion, and B, it moves the discussion beyond opinion to actually a focus on, right, well, what are the what value am I getting out of the current features? And actually, I think we need to talk about more features here. So then it becomes one that is more about driving a roadmap and a value-based discussion and a partner-based discussion, rather than a reactive discussion based on someone's opinion.
I love it. That very much aligns with what we've heard from customers and community members we've spoken to, and that's that common data builds a foundation for universal and shared insights, which then builds a foundation for connected process, and then enables people to work together better. And it sounds like that's somewhat of the progression that you guys have followed at Fidelity Investments. So we talked about the importance of software, what you're doing to improve and modernize, how you're balancing speed with security, empowered developers with protecting the business across a hybrid portfolio, and the KPIs you're tracking. And putting all this together, do you have any successful outcomes that you'd like to share and celebrate with us here today?
Yeah, so I think for us, right, over the last number of years, we've been very focused on developer experience and establish better platforms. And I think cloud has been key for us. Certainly, as we've embraced cloud and we've driven our platforms to the cloud, we're seeing better outcomes in terms of resiliency of our platforms based on the elasticity in the cloud. Interestingly enough, as part of the team, it's key to hire really inquisitive people, right? And it's all about people, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
It's experience is key, but if you've got really inquisitive people, that's great. So that was all of the key focus as we hired folks. So then when we start that journey to the cloud, it's great that it's great to see folks embrace that, and then it's great to see a team that would have supported maybe in-house platforms move to cloud-based platforms, and that actually, when you get smart, inquisitive people, they embrace it, and then you see the transformation in their skill set. So we would have had system engineers and now they're software developers, because actually we've just spent a whole lot of time moving our workloads to cloud, and they're spending their time now coding up in Python and Java and JavaScript. So that means they now have actually transformed their own role, enjoying it, because the new features that are available in external cloud are great. So again, it's for us, cloud's been key. It's meant better operational outcomes. It means that we're we're now some of our platforms now are in locations on the cloud, so that there is immediate scalability available and a ton of automation as well, which really helps operational outcomes. So I think for us, the journey in the last number of years, and it's a constant journey, right? We're never finished, right? And cloud's been key, and automation's been key, and key to that has been really good, smart, enthusiastic people driving that.
Awesome. Well, Jimmy, thank you for answering those questions, for sharing your experience with us, sharing with us how you've managed to implement DevOps against hybrid portfolio, and the requirements or non-negotiable requirements of security and compliance. Before I let you go take a break and bring you back for our panel, we have a couple of questions coming in over chat. The first one for you is there such a thing as disciplined DevOps? The governance talk is making me reflect on this, and does it help address the governance concerns that I raised in the keynote?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think, to me, DevOps is actually about, it's about a developer understanding everything. I don't think there's a better place to understand your code than production, right? So actually, if you've got a really curious, critical thinking developer, right, why wouldn't they want to understand the entire life cycle of what they've developed and understand, I think in the ops environment, well, okay, here's an opportunity to automate. So I'm not sure if I would go down and focus on discipline. I would just talk about, ensuring that your developers fully understand the opportunities in terms of making their code better, and that's embracing the operational environment, and that then drives better software based on that understanding.
Excellent. So there's another question coming in that focuses on cloud native, and the question is, how do you convince somebody that believes on-prem or traditional pipelines should be the same pipeline that you use for cloud first or cloud native delivery? Or I think another way to put it is, are they the same thing, or do you have to create or fork your pipelines to be efficient with a cloud first approach?
That's a good question. I mean, for us, and it's less about the pipeline. It's more about, well, how do you convince folks that are kind of more wedded towards maybe on-prem versus cloud? For us, what we did was just eat your own dog food, right? So get there. If you're a central team, central service, get your stuff out first. Show it, demonstrate it, right? And then take that information and walk folks around how you did it, and the outcomes you got. And if they're customers of that service, and that service now is better based on that movement from on-prem to cloud, then it's an easy conversation in terms of, well, you know what, we moved this. This is how we did it with our pipelines. We may need to have additional capabilities, etc. And actually, the outcome is better. The availability of automation is better. scalability is there, and actually the team are happier because actually now they've got way more skills, and they're more marketable themselves, right? So I think it's that's a way of doing it. That's
awesome. Well, thank you. So, Jimmy, that's really helpful. I want to thank you, as I will thank you again later, for the time that you've taken prior to this event and the time that you've taken to join CB Connect, participate in the keynote, and share your learnings and experiences. So next, we'll give you a chance to go do a wardrobe change before we bring you back in for our panel. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and bring the audience in to participate in a survey. So, and Jimmy, if you can feel free to go ahead, there you go. Go ahead and take your camera off and freshen up. So for all the people that have joined us today, please take an opportunity to go to the address at the top of the screen, www.menti.com, and use the code 228569 and answer these questions for us so we can share some information and connect across the people that are participating. As you go respond, the results will populate live, and then we will also share them out in Slack and in the chat later. So I'll give about 60 seconds here. And we already see somebody's in with continuous integration and continuous delivery. We have some more people coming in. This is awesome to see. There it goes. Okay, about 30 more seconds. Please, everybody, jump in and share. We got one for value stream management. Okay. So let's give it about 10 more seconds. Okay, this is really interesting. Please, everybody, keep responding. This will be live throughout the event, and we'll share results. But it's really, really interesting to see the clustering. And I think this addresses kind of the progression, the journey that we're on. We see 42% have implemented continuous integration. It's changing, but slightly less than that have implemented continuous delivery. Feature flagging, while an older practice, it appears that in terms of the modernization movement is one of the least adopted. And then we see application release orchestration. We see progressive delivery trailing at 6% at this point. And then what's really interesting is that value stream management practices are still on the rise here, only at 3%. Thank you all for that. We'll quickly move to our next question. And please, if you didn't get a chance to answer, remember to circle back. So, what is the number of app types and architectures that you're actively developing or maintaining in your organization? Mission critical revenue generating applications, as we used before, these are ones that are usually more traditional. Internal systems, right? Your SharePoint, your PeopleSoft, your homegrown backend systems. Undergoing modernization or refactoring, moving existing architectures to new. R&D or emerging tech. And then we go into types, mainframe, cloud or cloud native, and microservices. So let's go ahead and give this about 30 seconds. Yeah, this is really, really interesting. I did expect to see more mainframe when we've run this survey in the past. We've had significantly more mainframe. What I do find interesting is the number of R&D or emerging tech projects. And it looks like cloud native and microservices is clicking up. Well, everybody, look, thank you. Please keep plugging answers in. I see we're starting to align with the similar number of responses on an earlier slide. And again, we'll post these. You can check back and get a better understanding of where your peers are at.